3, 2, 1.
We'd like to welcome you to another edition of Grok Talk, brought to you by New Hampshire's leading conservative blog site, GraniteGrok.com. We are your feared, extremist, right-wing, hard-charging, gun-toting, opinionated, outspoken, rabble-rousing, letter-writing, radio, microphone-stomping conservatives and rational libertarians. So get ready for more news and opinion you could only get from GraniteGrok.com.
Grok Talk.
Welcome back to another edition of Grok Talk. We're glad to be here. Nice and cold in New Hampshire this morning. Snow up north at Skip's Place, and at freezing down there with Mike and myself in the southern part of the state. Not the warmest day, but it's a good morning to stay in and listen to the program. We've got David Bozell from For America coming on later today. He's going to talk to us about tax policy. We've also got Kimberly Morin's going to give us an update on the hearing this week on the Balsams Bill, SB 30, and all the different things that go on with that. Ed Nail is going to be in the room with us to talk about the domicile situation, and that went to the Supreme Court, the state Supreme Court this week, and we're going to see what goes on there. He's got a lot of information for us. He's got some updates on the Jared Cram case, and we've also got Jane Cormier going to give us a life update, and we've also got on the phone with us right now Max Abramson coming to do a legislative update. Good morning, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Excellent. So, what's going on at the State House this week?
We actually have three very important bills coming to the House. This Wednesday is going to be a pretty busy one, and there are recommendations coming down. This is the first time I've been contacted by the quote-unquote Republican leadership office asking me to vote Republican, which is on SB 116, which is constitutional carry, which passed in the House Criminal Justice Committee along party lines 10-6. That one will probably pass. We finally have leadership supporting it, and that will go to the governor's desk, and unfortunately Governor Hassan has indicated that she is probably just going to go along with the Police Chiefs Association, which does not support the bill.
It is. I think that was a given. I don't know that we were ever going to get her to do anything. I think our best chance was that she might just let it become law without her signature, but it's a big issue for the left. I can't imagine them letting this go. Well,
she is almost certainly running for Senate. That's what the rumor mill is saying. And I don't think she wants to upset the gun owners' vote. And there is a lot of public support for constitutional carry, also known as Vermont carry, here in New Hampshire, and there was very little opposition to the bill. In fact, only a handful of people showed up in opposition to the last hearing. So we're hoping that it passes.
If there's so little opposition, what is the chance of a veto override?
Well, Governor Hassan wouldn't be getting very much from a veto override, or from a veto, I should say. The problem is that if the bill comes down on party lines, as it did in the Senate, the Democrats have 10 of the 24 Senate spots, and they have 160 spots in the House of Representatives. So they have about 2/5 in both houses. You need 2/3 to override, so it would be very difficult to override or veto.
Okay.
So what else you got? You said there was two other bills?
There are two other bills. The next big one that's been in the news is the so-called Balsams bailout. This one's been going back and forth and back and forth. They've amended it and changed it. They were going to use tax increment finance districts. They were going to exempt it from taxes for a while, although that never panned out. And finally, the amendment that they're pushing is the $28 million loan guarantee that has overwhelming public opposition on social media and everywhere else. And, of course, we've all received emails and requests and people asking us to vote no on this. The people who are supporting it are, of course, Les Otten, who has scrounged up almost enough financing, but they want the taxpayers to guarantee the last 38% of their financing to get that project going now. A number of people have mentioned online that the Balsams project failed for a reason, that it's outdated, that it's too far off the beaten path, that there's no infrastructure supporting it, and that it's just too far out of the way, and the buildings are in terrible shape right now, and it's been gutted as it is. Now, I did testify, and I brought up the issue of the state's bond rating. I testified in front of the Finance Committee on during the hearing, and the concern that I brought up was that if we keep doing this, the advocates of this are saying that they don't just want to do $28 million for the balsams, that this will just be the first in a long line of projects in unincorporated areas just like it.
My question to you, this is Skip, and thanks for coming on, Max. During the testimony, has anyone brought up the phrase crony capitalism? I mean, I look at this as a staunch conservative of limited government and say this is not what government should be doing, is funding private organizations, no matter what it is. You know, there's a reason if Otten can't get all of the funding that he desires for this thing, it really isn't that good of a deal. So why should government take this on?
Exactly. It suggests that the would-be investors are looking at this and saying, we don't see a return here, so they're not willing to go all in. If they thought this thing was going to be booked to the hilt and coining money hand over fist, they would be ripping his arm off. They would be trying to buy his remaining shares too. That's
right, and no one can paint a picture, no one can connect the dots and show how the revenue will come in, because the revenue wasn't coming in the last time it was open. So what type of facility they have in mind, I'm not sure, but it doesn't strike me as being good enough from the state's vantage point. It looks like it would cost too much, and the risk is just much too high. So that the state would not get anything back from it.
Yeah. So again, Max, I'm asking: did anybody throw that phrase "crony capitalism" around during testimony?
You know, I don't recall hearing that. There's a 4-hour-long video of the testimony. I'm in there at about the 3-hour and 10-minute mark, and I didn't hear anyone else. All of the people who were coming forward for the first 3 hours of that 4-hour hearing were testifying in favor of it. But I didn't want to go that far and use the cronyism term. It did strike me that way, that this isn't something that would be done for mom and pop. Although I did bring up Business Express, which filed for Chapter 11 back in 1996, leaving the state with $15 million in unpaid bonds. And if we've already learned that lesson with the Business Express air shuttle project, which finally left the state, are we going to have another and another and another? And the companies that do debt ratings look at state legislatures that spend money on projects like this, and it would negatively affect our bond rating on about $2.7 billion in state debt. So, you know, even if the project worked out, we'd be paying a higher interest rate on our entire state debt.
Well, that doesn't sound too great. So we've got another bill, you said, third one?
Now, the big one in the media is the casino bill. That one's been amended and changed, and it's been going back and forth for almost 20 years. What some of the conservatives are concerned about is, with the casino bill, yes, it might bring in a lot of revenue. We don't know how much it will bring in. The problem is it will give effectively one company a near monopoly. There would be two casinos eventually. One company would get a near monopoly on a casino in Salem, and of course it's a misdemeanor to do any type of gaming or gambling of any sort in the state unless, and this bill would change it, unless you're at that casino. So I've been getting a few emails and phone calls from people about this, and looking at the discussion by the reps online, it doesn't look like it's likely to pass. It will probably be a very close vote. Last time they brought this up, the measure failed 173 to 172. So it was Speaker Terry Norelli who cast the tie-winning vote to defeat the bill. And she was, of course, very actively working to defeat casinos. And she was kind of the linchpin that finally killed the bill.
Yeah, see, I have a strange view on this. I believe from the point of view of the the ability to freely associate and to open any kind of business that isn't actually otherwise criminal. that people should just be allowed to have casinos if they want them, and therefore I think this is what you're working towards. Let's just repeal the statute that bans gambling and let the casino operators come in if they see value, and if they don't see value, they won't come. And that avoids, again, the crony capitalism or crony socialism aspect, because otherwise you can bet somebody on the side that's trying to legislate this is going to be pocketing some cash.
And the other problem is, once you have one casino that comes in, they will almost certainly work actively, as they have before, to block any competition, even gambling in people's homes, even poker tables, even poker rooms, even clubs, every chance they can get to force people, if you want to play games, you have to go to their casino and pay the fee and play their games by their rules, and they have to be the ones making the money. There can be no other competing house. And so that's the real concern that they have. A lot of poker aficionados and a lot of gaming aficionados really enjoy, playing at different locations. And if in New Hampshire there's only one location or two locations, and you have to play through this company, that's the concern that people are bringing up. Now, the J.R. Hole has an amendment to replace the entire bill by simply repealing RSA 647, Section 2, which is the ban on gaming and gambling. And I'm sure that'll get some lively debate and probably a few votes. But the interesting thing about that bill is there wouldn't be any revenue coming in for the state, and so then there's no opportunity to reduce business taxes or property taxes.
Right, so you have to ask. I mean, so if you make it an actual free market, Max, doesn't the state get tax revenue from the fact that the business exists?
Well, if it is run as a business, remember, most of the gambling locations are just, people playing out of their homes or playing on the ships and whatnot. Now, the other concern that's been brought up with slot machines and video lottery is some of the reps don't want to have convenience casinos, which are these really small locations. I don't know if you've been out there in Nevada. They have these really small locations that have no decorations. There's nothing interesting to them. You just go in and play on a machine.
Slot barns.
Yeah, I think I've seen a couple of those driving through. You crest a hill and there's a gas station there, and it's got some other big building attached. It's like, Joe's Gas and Gamble.
All right, well, we are getting very near the end of our segment. Anything else real quick?
There are a few other small bills coming up over the next couple of weeks, but I'll have to review them and do a little bit of research on them before I talk about them. But it was great talking to you folks, and I'll be sure and give you guys an update on what happens on Wednesday.
All right, thank you very much, Max. You have a great weekend.
Thank you.
All righty, talk to you later. Bye. All right, that was Max. We're going to call Jane Cormier next for a life update, and after that we have Ed Nail coming in to talk about the domicile voter fraud trip to the state Supreme Court and the complete disaster that's turning out to be. After that, Kimberly Moore, and then David Bozell from For America. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
This is a coalition of New Hampshire taxpayers. We're located at 8 North Main in Concord, New Hampshire. This is a repository for all things conservative and municipal. So if you have a problem in your town, your school, your budget committee, the right to know law, and now at the top of our list is voter fraud. You have a tip for us, some information for us, you want to join or help us out, cnht.org.